Three, two, one. Welcome to the Lightforge podcast. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps, and today we have a very special guest. It's going to be a great show. We got the winner of the latest Battlegrounds Brawl. She is consistently on the BG leaderboards. She once hosted her own arena tournament, and she's fresh off wiping out Tomato Town. Welcome, Sunglitters.
Thank you, best introduction. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sun.
Hey,
How's it
son.
going?
Welcome back.
It's going great. It's 1 a.m. and I'm usually asleep around this time, but I am filled with energy somehow.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what all the messed up countdowns before we started recording this was about. It's to amp you up even more so you get through it.
All right. So, Sun, we got a lot to talk about today, actually, from the tournament to the BGs and everything, but we got to get to the most important question first. How are you spending that prize money?
Oh, I actually have... I have this one mirror that I wanted forever, but it was always like too expensive. And I feel like I still won't buy it. Would you guys buy a mirror for 2,000 euros? No. You
my
wouldn't.
god, what mirror do you
wouldn't.
want? Is it like a full wall mirror?
No, it's like it's a bit bigger than usual. Imagine like two full body mirrors like next to each other, but with the most beautiful frame. I would not buy it, but I kind of want it. And then
I mean, you did just win a bunch of money.
Son, I would never buy something that irresponsible. I'd only put it into Pokemon cards.
Only Pokemon cards.
Only Pokemon cards. Yeah.
So here's what you do. You put it into Pokemon cards. Then you make a profit that is equal to 2k euros. And then you get a free mirror.
Yeah, true.
He knows. He gets it now.
Yeah, I would probably not buy it. But, it's like... I was like, oh, when I win, then I will buy it. But now that I'm here, then I will not buy it. And I also, I never invested in my entire life. And for 2021, I was like, okay, this is the year where I will start to learn it. I feel like it's a good idea. So I wanted to invest a little bit of the money that I won into like an index fund or whatever. I don't know much about it, but I heard that this is safe. So I'll do it, and it's probably not that hard.
Wait, but you're a Hearthstone player. Safe?
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about Pokemon cards, GME, and crypto?
Cardboard, Dogecoin.
Oh, Doge.
To the moon.
There's more. Doge is safe now. Now it's about Shiba and like Elon coin and whatever else is out there.
Yeah, like Coinbase is about to add Doge, so it's like it's big time.
It's over. Doge is over. It's mainstream.
Yeah, that's true. It's too institutional.
Right? Yeah.
Anyways, Son, that is very responsible of you, and like we talked about, we can talk about it. And I would definitely not wink, wink, convince you to spend all of your money on Pokemon cards, even though there are tons of great opportunities.
Basically guaranteed money.
It's guaranteed. You'd be just ridiculous. Like, you missed out on such good opportunities, but yes, we need to talk about the tournament that you just won, okay?
Yes.
So first of all, once again, congratulations. If you guys don't know, I'll give you guys a quick summary. This past week, there was a Battlegrounds Brawl event. It was an invitational done by Blizzard. First of all, well done. Clap, 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 Blizzard. Such a well done event. Great plays from all the participants. Amazing casting by Frodan and Gia. It was great pacing, and I think everyone put on a great show. But at the end of the day, the team of Sunglitters, Slissa, Educated Collins, and Show won the entire thing, with Show being the MVP, and MVP was the person who scored the most individual points. But I think the most important thing was that everyone on the team contributed. Even the person with the, quote, least amount of points scored a ton. And Sun, you in particular, you were the model of consistency. And it was pointed out during the tournament as well, where it seemed like every single lobby, it might as well been every single lobby, you were in the top 4, getting like 1 point, 2 point, 4 points. And in the format that they were in which 5th through 8th got 0 points, you had to be in the top 4. That was an extraordinary performance from you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I was at an advantage that I got bad heroes because I was like, okay, I need to play this safe. Those are Tevin for heroes. You have to play like a mech comp to be able to do like anything, right? Because I never got Maiev, I never got Omu, I never got Genders. So I had to kind of play for uh like beating those high rollers and then get into the top 4.
Which heroes did you end up getting?
I got Deathwing, I got Keltus, I got one time the new hero Xerella, and that
Okay.
was the only time that I did not get top 4 with her. And I
Yeah.
got okay, the only good hero that I got was Midhouse, and I had
Mhm.
4 triples set up on 5, and I kept rolling and rolling and rolling. I got zero triples.
No.
And yeah, then I ended up playing a taunt comp with Millhouse on 6, and I got like top 2 somehow still. That was yeah. I wasn't very lucky when it came to like heroes, but yeah, in the end, like playing on Tavern 4 kind of paid off.
This is music to Adult's
Yeah,
ears,
I
by the
heard
way.
those heroes and I was like, oh, you mean the top heroes?
Oh no.
Not
No,
in
no,
win
no.
rate, just the top heroes in comfort, in how nice they
See,
feel, and how limited it makes your options.
Adulta hears consistent top 4s, and he's like, "Oh, this is my playstyle." The only difference is Sun decided to go for these top 4s after her heroes and looking at the lobbies. Adulta wakes up, puts on a pot of coffee, and he's like, "Today's a good day to be 4th/5th." You know, like
Don't knock fifth.
that's the
Fifth is
difference
great.
here.
This tournament just had weird rules.
Right,
Which is
exactly.
not how the ladder goes, right? I mean, it's good. I feel like the ladder should. We could talk about this maybe later when we talk about potential changes to battleground. But I've always thought that I mean, I do it all the time in terms of like I put my strategy to how they reward points, but they really shouldn't reward points like that. Like, what do you think about the tournament style and what it encourages versus the normal ladder in terms of how you get points?
I feel like the tournaments it was great. I feel like it was also good that like fifth didn't get really any points because I feel like it encourages to play more risky. But at the same time, then as a player, you realize when people play risky that the Tavern 4 strat is really good, right? Because I just kept killing people that tried to go for the high roll. And then also at the same time, I saw myself like especially in my Deathwing game where I played with Show, I saw myself like as the support player because I had like these menaces on Divine Shield Max with refreshes. And at some point, I faced Show and I knew, okay, he has genders. He's going for 6 drops. I'm just selling off my board. So I had like 4 minions on the board when I could have had 7. I leveled and I bought everything into my hands so I would lose to him. And then I got him again like 2 turns after, like when the like usually you can't fight the same person like twice after like a while. And when I got him again, I did the same thing. So I took damage for him again and in the top 4. So just he could get first in that match. And I mean it paid off, right? Because like gender is so much more likely to go first. So it's kind of cool to have like synergies with your team and realize that you can't win, and so you make them win by giving your health up for them, if that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense, and I think it's the way that the tournament should be played. You
Hmm.
know, where you are operating with effectively an 80 HP pool instead of
Yeah,
like 2 separate 40 HP pools, right? Like
exactly.
with our powers combined, except when you're playing patchwork. But you know, once again, Adopta, don't like we're not talking about patchwork. Don't get too excited here, okay?
Mm.
Um, so, you know, you're talking about synergy and all of this. I want to dig into a little bit of the behind the scenes strategies. Did you guys talk amongst each other before the tournament and say, okay, this is what, like, you know, here's some secret strats, or just get some practices in and try to solidify anything?
Slissa and I did that, and the guys are kind of like lazy, but we always we always try to get them to practice, but they were like, ah, nah, it gets nerfed anyways. But I thought more as like in practice ever as of like screen sharing and then getting like the how's it called? Like the hmm
The
like the
communication,
yeah, the
cooperation, reads.
communication working exactly.
Mhm.
So I was more into that than like learning the meta
Yeah.
because I feel like it was important, but in the end, it still kind of worked out for us because I feel like the others did even do a worse job than we did in team communication. Because I've heard like people like kill their teammates and stuff, and yeah, that didn't happen with us, luckily.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I watched the tournament and I also watched it from your perspective, like a decent amount of the time. And you guys had great communication, which I think also comes from familiarity, right? Like
Yeah,
you, Show, Slissa, Collins, a lot of you guys are very comfortable with each other. You know, you guys
yeah,
talk, you guys joke around. That always makes things a little bit easier, right?
that's
When you know the
true.
person. Yeah. And also, I think practice was very important, calling out Collins and Show right now, because to when we did the 4 stack with
Mhm.
Victor months ago, by the way, 4 stacks are terrible. They should be banned from the game. Please, Blizzard, please, Blizzard, please, Blizzard. Back to what I'm talking about now. But when we were doing that, one of the things that I found immediately was jarring, and it was a skill that we got better at, but still has much to improve, is forcing ties with your teammate.
Mhm.
Um, that
Oh yeah.
yeah, right? Like it's one of those things where you see you're facing the other person and the problem isn't like you're so conditioned in BGs to be like, okay, position. How do I position for the strongest? How do I win? Like how do I be strong or like, prevent damage? And suddenly it's
Mhm.
just like how do I strategically lose in the best way possible to
Mhm.
tie, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We definitely did that too. Like I had a
Yeah.
Reno game where I had to hero power my juggler, and everyone in my chat was like, "No, don't do it." But I knew, I knew that was the only way for me to get top 4 because I was losing already and had no pairs and stuff. Well, then I faced my teammate, and I had to place my jugglers first and like do all these things and sell a few minions because I knew else I would kill them. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I feel like team formats like sometimes they're very annoying, right? Because you don't want to be like bad because then you like pull your team down. So you have like this extra pressure on you. And you also don't want your teammates to feel bad when they do badly. So you're always like, oh no, next time we get them and stuff. And then you might sometimes think, oh, maybe solo tournaments are better. It's just fight for myself. But I feel like this kind of like brought the community together in a way, right? Where you can like just root for a specific team and then like there are maybe two of your favorite streamers on there. I feel like it was nice to have teams.
Yeah, I think it really brought out an extra dimension of strategy. The way that Blizzard organized it as well, you just get more storylines, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this creator with this creator working together against other creators. So people, or really Twitch chat had more opportunities to kick W. They had more opportunities to root for players that they liked and everything.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like the best crossover episodes, right? Which is what people like about crossover episodes. So I thought that was really cool. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament and really the patch notes right before the tournament because
Oh yeah.
if the
Oh.
tournament wasn't stressful enough, which I know you were a little bit stressed about,
Oh, very.
yes, a
Yes.
little bit stressed about. Um, Blizzard announced that they were coming out with the patch notes and pushing out the patch on the day of the tournament. So you guys were playing on a separate server that had the patch before
Mhm.
everyone else. And I believe the patch notes came out like less than an hour, definitely less than an hour, but like exactly how much I forgot before the
Yeah.
tournament. So you guys had to adjust. Tell me about that.
Well, we had like the patch notes were posted in
Mhm.
our Discord server that we had for the event like one day prior. So,
Oh,
we knew that there were there were nerfs coming, but we didn't really know what. So yeah, like 24 hours before the tournament, we knew. And like when I looked at the patch notes, I was like, okay, Tevin 5 minions are viable again, because like before you just tripled into 6 drops or into 4 drops to get Bonka, but Bonka was nerfed so much that I thought, oh, it's gonna probably revert back a little bit to the old meta, like we knew it. So I wasn't too worried because I feel like I'm pretty good at grasping how the meta changes, like based on patch notes, and I feel like I was pretty good with it. And I feel, yeah, I felt like, because like our team played BGs from the start. I think Slissa joined in the latest to the BG train, so I was confident in my team that they can read those patch notes and be better than others.
Yeah,
So I wasn't too nervous about that.
I think it was, partly synergy, but you guys also just had a very stacked team. All of you
Yeah.
guys are very good. You guys have been consistently on the leaderboards, and you guys are just nerds. You guys all play a ton.
I mean, we
Mhm.
know they're the best because this is 3 out of the 4 people who have been on the Lightforge podcast. They
I
put
was gonna
on
say
one
that.
team. Like, how unfair is that?
I know.
Rip Victor.
Well,
Yeah.
Victor was the only person on his team who's been on the Lightforge podcast. So, you're
Yeah,
taking a team of 3 Lightforge
exactly.
podcast guests versus just one.
Yeah, and the other 2
Victor's
teams
got no
had
shot.
nobody on the Lightforge podcast.
Well,
Yeah, makes sense.
and Victor's team got second.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Huh?
this is how it works, right?
You're on the Lightforge podcast, and you're a superstar, right?
And we had
There you
2
go.
ex-arena players in our
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
That is
That
true.
clearly helps in Battlegrounds. But yeah, I mean so how did you feel about your team when you got the like going into the tournament?
I was stoked. Yeah, it was just good because like Sis and I like play a lot together already, and then I saw Show. He was doing really well in the patch, and Collins obviously is also an Omega nerd. So yeah, it worked out great. And I saw the other teams. I think like the team that I was most afraid of was like Victor, Harper Bear, because like
Right.
they're both also very very strong players. Wait, I forgot who the other teammates were. I think it was
It was already
it
you.
was
RDU and CC Leah.
RDU. Yeah, and
Yeah.
CC. Yeah, and they're both also very strong. So yeah, I was most afraid of them, and they got second too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Blizzard invited a lot of strong players, and even the people who didn't play a ton of BGs, like during the whole entire time, like your team did. They all caught up very quickly. Like we're inviting people who are just very smart, who are very
Mhm.
good at adapting. I think a perfect example is Luna. Like Luna
Mm.
is busy conquering Hearthstone in other ways. So Luna didn't have a ton of time to play BGs, but then she just spammed BGs for a while and she's like, oh, I just already figured out the meta. Typical Luna stuff.
Yeah, I was so impressed with her.
Yeah. But of course, like, we're talking about one of the all-time Hearthstone greats, right? So I guess
Mhm.
shouldn't be surprised. So with this tournament, and I think with the response, just from my view and checking Reddit and everything, people really liked it. So, Son, I'm going to
Mhm.
ask probably the most softball of softball questions here. Would you like to see another one?
Yes.
This really just speaks to, I think, everyone's hunger for more competitive battlegrounds, for just more events generally, and I really do hope Blizzard gives that to us, whether through invitationals or through opens. Like
Mhm.
we don't need exactly a GM system like we have in standard for BGs, but man, I think people are so hungry for something. Like the community is so hungry. Like we have a lot of
Yeah.
streamers like you who who are happy to be in these events, who prep, like who just get super excited about it. And I can name like so many community leaderboard members who I've seen be part of like all of these tournaments. And I think it's like there's just such potential there. And I'm hoping Blizzard, if you hear this, I don't think you'll hear this, but if you hear this, like please, like give us something. Like the community is just so ready to take this to the next level.
Yeah, it's huge potential. Imagine like open cups like they have for the Master Tour. Imagine open cup battleground. It would be like full in like 1 minute.
Yeah.
All the
Mhm.
spots taken.
And even if it's just invitationals, to have them at a consistent basis, it creates storylines.
Yeah.
You get your repeat cast members come back. Like, there's just so many ways to get this, and everything works, right? Like, as long as they
Yeah,
do a
for
good
sure.
job organizing the tournaments, it creates some level of incentives for people to be in there. Whether it's open, whether it's invitational, whether it's a mix, you just got to get the ecosystem going, which Blizzard has not provided too much support, despite BG, being a knockout hit for like, what is this now? More than a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like we talked about in I forget if it was last week's podcast or whatever. Ixar has revealed that Battlegrounds by itself would be a top. Did he say top 5 or top 10 game on Steam?
I don't know,
I
one
forget.
of those, but
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
one of
Really lots
those.
of players playing.
Right. So BG's by itself is a top Steam game in terms of concurrent players. That should
Oh.
tell you something. Yeah, yeah. Which means that it deserves like this sort of attention. It deserves like more funding, kind of like all of these tournaments that we're hoping for, because it is getting them that attention, and it's that potential huge moneymaker for them if it is not currently. So please, Blizzard, do something about that. And I'm also hoping that if they do something like this, exactly like this again, Sun, you'll be back to defend the title, right?
I hope so. If I get invited, I'll be there.
I think it would be really good. Like my vision is if they just want to do this invitational thing and not have opens, because opens are complicated. If they do that, maybe for example, like the winning team stays, even like the second team like stays, and then they just mix it up for like the bottom two teams, right? Like they replace them with
Mhm.
perhaps other content creators. And it's a way to have, because there's tons and tons of content creators that they can feature, and this is a good way to kind of rotate and get more people exposure as well. It's just like one of those ideas, but I'm hoping they make this into a more regular thing, even if it's just like once every 3 months or so. Is that too much to ask? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, let's talk about the meta, son. All right. I think we have a lot to talk about there
Okay.
because piggies have been nerfed a bit.
Mhm.
Piggies have been nerfed a bit. We went through the nerfs on this channel, but give us an overview, however long you want, of what the meta is and what are your keys to success.
Oh, I don't. I feel like you can play everything right now. I feel like the most things that matter is like get a good hero, right? Like if you get Mayev,
Yes,
you're
get
in
a
a good
good
spot.
hero.
Um, and then you can like basically do whatever you want, get like a ton of triples. But then it's not as important to triple into 6 drops anymore, because like Chalga, I think got. It's still good, but Chalga, I feel like is not an auto win anymore because it doesn't give you as much tempo anymore. I feel like the +3/+3 on the minion body was quite important. And yeah, and like the other quibbles obviously got a little bit worse too. Um Hook Task is really good, and her farm is really good. I feel like still like the heroes that can triple well are still like super nice. And Cthulhu got better again because there's like less damage, and then you can consistently kind of get into the top two. I don't know, like Cthulhu has been so good for me. I feel like better than Omu, like a lot better. But yeah, I feel like Quill Boys are like a lot worse now. And the way I've been climbing is I don't know, just like get to the 5 drops again. I won a lot with Bran lately again. So where I climbed a lot and Lightfang and focus less on the queer boys. Which is a little bit sad. I feel like they nerfed them a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit more. Son, I don't mean to brag. I'm almost 6K.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
almost. Yeah. Oh yeah. And look, for me, that's a decent amount of playing. Okay, that's a decent amount of playing.
Yeah.
But
I'm almost
yeah,
60.
like 60 MMR.
I'm close. I think I'm 52.
Excellent. You'll be 10K in no time. Um. Anyways, yeah. So I've seen a lot of what you're talking about as well. I'm on like a decent streak right now, and Bran has been a key player in a lot of my compositions, which I like. You know, I like that Bran kind of play
Hmm.
style, and because the pacing of Bran is, I think, healthy for like the mid game and the late game of Hearthstone. It was when the piggies were unnerfed and it was out of control, and you compare like the scaling of Bran versus the scaling of a full board of unnerfed piggies, and that was like stupid, right?
Yeah, didn't compare at all.
Yeah. And then, you know, pre-nerf, it was like a throw to take Bran, which was insane. Like it was actually just a
Hmm.
throw to take Bran. But yeah, I'm winning a lot more with Menagerie, and whenever I do go Quillbores, a lot of times I end up with Quillbore Menagerie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's
where
that minion called again? The 5 drop Manon or whatever.
I
The
know
one
what
that
you're.
you
The Great
give a blood
Boar.
gem.
No, no, well, not the boar one, right? The one where if you give it blood gems, it Menagerie buffs everything. Is that the one
Yeah,
you're
I've
talking?
had
Yes.
that
Oh.
with Lightfang, and
Mhm.
then it's
Yes.
like sick.
Yeah, that card is great, and that's been part of my winning lineup quite often, actually. And I agree. I think they nerfed piggies. I don't know about a little bit too hard, but it's also kind of typical Blizzard. It's like, you know, something shines so brightly for a short amount of time, and then they
Hmm.
nerf it, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was waiting for you to.
Oh no. I was just like thinking. Wait, I lost it.
Okay, I will carry on my thought. I always have something to
Yes.
say, son. Don't worry about it. Um, I've also heard from people that are like, well, I still see pigs a lot, and it's like, of course you do, because they're in every single game.
Hmm.
It's
That's
like
true.
when it's impossible for them to be rotated out. And remember, 3 other tribes are rotated out, so effectively, you're seeing the quote other tribes like 60% of the time. I forget, but like one tribe you see 100% of the time, and then the others you're seeing like almost just half the amount of games. So yeah, you're going to see an overrepresentation of quillbores. But yes, getting quillbores going and the on ramp is a lot tougher now. And you're also correct in that like one of the things that made quillbores just really unfair was that even if you quote took a risk and then triple to a 6 and you get the Charga right away, like
Hmm.
the Charga body, like the 7/7 immediate body was like battle ready, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah, like
immediately get +1/+1 on everything and possibly more bonuses.
yeah, yeah, and you were more likely to already have the tough tusks and the dynamic duos and all of that stuff. So Chargo
Hmm.
was even more, you know, like ridiculous. But yeah, like the body itself could value trade on the turn that you get it, most likely. And now it's not value trading with anything at that point.
Yeah. Now you're taking a huge risk when you take it, and your board is shit, right?
Yeah,
I felt it
yeah,
today. I was struggling to stay alive so hard with it. And
yeah.
before it wasn't really the case.
But you know, personally, I like the fact that everything is a little bit usable again. I've always liked metas in which Menagerie is the number one composition because I think, you know, there's a lot of choices with Menagerie, and I think especially right now, this is the most complex Menagerie has ever been. Um,
True.
and
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on that.
I agree too, because you have so many ways to go for it. You have like
Yeah.
you have Lightfang, you have Bran, you have the Egg and Megan man. you know, you
I,
know that one. And
we
Mhm.
then
got to
you
make a
also
name for that.
yeah, and then you also have like this weird menagerie with like Divine Shield, right? Like you have the
Yeah.
Divine Shield mech, dragon, and the elemental, and then you can just play the ground shaker and just get some blood gems and have that going. At the same time you have like a light fang there too. That then you can just get over like sometimes you have to play this when you don't get the nuts, right? I feel like this is like a saving comp to get to top 4.
Yeah.
Same same with poison. I feel like I would put them in the same category. Like ground shaker comp and poison comp. It's like something to save your elo a little bit.
Yeah, I think the ground shaker comp with let's say, Bonker, and then you just load up on stuff like Bolvar, right? Bronze
Mhm.
Wardens, and then to
Yeah.
just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play that like Divine Shield comp, try to get all of these blood gems, buy up the Sun Bacon Relaxers. Great branding by Victor, by the way. Like I say the thing and then I think of Victor immediately. Oh man, terrific branding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I buy those, sell those, and then just kind of play for that. It's like the new quote taunt comp, right?
Mhm.
Um, but the one thing I've noticed in my recent games that I've been forced to do a lot is board space has become so much of an issue for me. It wasn't like menagerie builds in previous metas in which like it was very easy for you to see this minion always goes and this spot is always open. I think in this meta, you have to think a little bit more about like, man, I got to get rid of this unit that I don't
Yeah.
really want to get rid of, but it's necessary. Like it feels like you've seen that too.
Yeah, I think it's how's Pumbaa called? You know, the Pumbaa, the
I
boar.
know the Great Boar. We
Yeah.
can call it the Great Boar. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, the thick boar is there, and then you have it like with Chaga, or you have it with a tusk, right? That gives you blood
yeah,
gem, and then it takes 2 spots for like a thing that does the same thing but better, right? And
yeah,
then
yeah.
that is already gone. And then you also want your queer boys, and then you also want like the ground shaker on the board, and then you also need like 2 queer boys that generate like gems, and then you have like so many spots taken already, and they all need to work together. You need the blood gem generators for the ground shaker to work, and then you also need the chaga because else you don't scale enough. So there's like like 1 spot free in your comp that you have. It's really hard. I see what you mean. It's really hard to make room for anything.
Yeah, and I think this skill is a skill that has not been super tested in previous metas, and I've
Hmm.
noticed that it is one of the most important skills in this meta. Like I played a decent amount of games last night. I want to say just to prep for this podcast, but really I just played and I was bored. But I found myself like really focusing and forcing myself to be like, okay, like right now I am, kind of milking some stats and scaling off of flat tusk, like an early flat tusk. But I'm gonna want to switch to this brand, right? Because I have some
Hmm.
buffs in hand. Also, I like, Amalgadon is coming up and everything, and I want to build perfect Amalgadons and everything. And then, like maybe 2 turns after that, I've gotten a lot of these stats. I've gotten the Amalgadons. Now brand is going, and I want to put in, let's say, ground shaker or even the tier 5 thing for a couple of turns because once again I've built up some blood gems and everything. So I've felt this need and like I've never done this before. It's like, okay, I have one sort of scaling unit and then I sell that. I put in the brand for this other kind of purpose to build the Amalgadon and get some buffs. And then I ditch the brand because I'm done with battle cries. I built up some more blood gems and now it's time to go back
Hmm.
into some blood gem synergy and then finish off with like Selfless Hero for the end battle. And I think that's one of those skills where you just can't be stubborn, and it's not as easy in previous metas where I'm just like brand stays until final battle, right?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
So like I think it is a very very cool meta. I think it is very interesting. I want to get your thoughts on this though. Like the only thing disappointing for me is that, like you said before, at the end of the day, it's still Maev. It's still Omu. It's still these heroes, right? Like, what are
Hmm.
your thoughts on the same old, same old? Like, I know Omu and Maev are not like the oldest heroes. Like, Rafam is one of the oldest heroes, but it certainly feels that way, right?
Yeah, Maiev is definitely way overpowered. I thought they would nerf her actually, because I
Hmm.
saw on Twitter like someone of the dev team responded to a tweet that like called Maiev out. I think it was Salty that made the
Yeah,
tweet, being angry at Maiev.
I remember
And
that.
I agree. You just like on eight gold, you just take sometimes 20 damage. Not 8 gold, turn 8, you take like 20
Mhm.
damage, and then your whole game is ruined basically because you always try to stay alive because health is a resource. Like sometimes you need to level to get to your things, and then you just can't anymore because you face the high roll Mayev. I think she's like really a problem and should get looked at. But like she got nerfed before. Remember when it was +1/+1 and not
Hmm.
+1 attack? Like, oh my god.
When they
I
nerfed her
know.
down to like we were talking because Maiev was that +1/+1 for a long time. It was not like they
Yeah.
didn't just come out with Maiev and was like, oh, she's a problem, we're gonna nerf her. They came out with Maiev, said, yeah, maybe she's a problem, and like 3 months later, they're like, let's drop the +1 health. But so we had a lot of time to discuss how to nerf Maiev, and every single thing we thought about was you can't just remove the +1/+1s. Maiev would still be OP. And so, sure, they added a whole bunch of heroes and boosted some other heroes, so like buffed a lot of heroes, so that there's a new power level in BGs that wasn't back in the day when Maiev was first introduced. But the
Yeah.
fundamentals of what Maiev is doing to the game hasn't changed. That plus one
It's just
plus
a
one was
triple
never the
thing.
problem.
Yeah, we can make it -1/-1. It would still be good.
Exactly. Like that's just not the issue that's driving the resource generation that Maiev is doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the only thing you do with tweaking the stats is reduce the chances of her popping off,
Hmm.
right? But the issue isn't kind of like, oh, okay, so instead of her popping off 65% of the time, she pops off like 45% of the time, and that's fine. Like, it's people being frustrated at the pop offs, right?
Hmm.
And that, like, it's like, oh, I face Maev on this turn, or like, okay, well, Maev, in the early game was able to hero power and find like three triples, and then once she gets a tier 5, gets all those triples, and then starts the scaling, she's unstoppable, right? Like the unstoppable force. So yeah, it just kind of sucks that I know the dev team wants to keep the flavor of Maev, but it's one of those things where unless the meta like significantly changes towards something I can't even think of right now. She's just such a good tripling machine, and I don't know if we can keep that in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the most frustrating part is to take so much damage on the turn 8. It's like
Yeah.
when you get it 6 drops, turn 8. And when the damage wasn't there, it would be fine. Like if they say, okay, you can take max 15 damage on turn 8, then it would be okay. But like it is now, it's just too frustrating.
Yeah. Are you in favor of, number one, changing the damage system? This is a pretty hot topic, right? Like a lot of people on Bob's Tavern are talking about it. Are you in favor of changing the current damage system they have in place? And if so, what is your suggestion for it?
I like if you change the damage system, it affects how long the games are, right?
Hmm.
I didn't like read about it, but I think it's good. I like the game length, but just when it comes to Mayev, the turn 8 is too problematic in turn 9. So I would just do it for her or just delete Mayev.
Just delete my F.
That's a good solution,
I mean, that's
honestly.
fine.
She's been
Yeah.
around for a long time. We've seen what she can do. There's no way to fix her. There really isn't. And
Mm.
there's a problem in game design, right? Where if you have a high roly character, you can't have the high roly character also average out to be significantly better than other characters. Because then
Mm-hmm.
everyone will use the high roly character and your game will be a clown fiesta. That's one of the more simpler like game design rules. So for a character like Maev, which is I mean, the way she's not even a high roll character right now. She's like just a really good character. But for that high roll potential to exist in a character, it has to be like Alex Strazaized, right? Like that's what they did with Alex
Yeah.
Straza, which was a high roll character, and Alex Straza had like very little skill once you know like the basics to see whether she high rolls or not. But they just nerfed the internal logic to how
Mm-hmm.
Alex Straza generates the quote unquote random dragons. And you can't do that with Maev. It doesn't. At least I can't think of a way to do it. But that's the kind of stuff that you need to do. You need to put something at Alex Straza-ish levels if you want the high roll potential to be that high. And Maev arguably has an even higher high roll potential. It's just so consistent, it doesn't even feel like high rolling.
Yeah.
All right. So, Sun, anything else you want to share with viewers in terms of the meta, to perhaps dig them out of their 2K hard stuck lives?
Oh, I've played Lich Basil. I don't know how
Ooh.
to pronounce her name.
Mhm.
Like quite a lot, because out of desperation, because my heroes were so bad. I feel like she, like out of the bad heroes, she's good. You should try her. I've got like 3 times first and second with her in a row. I was like, wow. Because I feel like the coins right now are really meta ton, because you can just go to Tavern 4 quick and stay there for a while and kill some people.
So, with her, are you still keeping the and I understand it differs from game to game, but on average, are you still sticking with the normal leveling structure kind of and just going for a little bit of tempo to make up for the HP loss from your hero power?
Yeah, so I noticed I like take a lot of damage early game, and I go to Tavern 3 and then I level to Tavern 4
Hmm.
um a bit quicker, and I stay on there, try to triple, try to find a triple, and then I go to 5 and get a 6 drop still. And then yeah, that's been working out quite well. I can
So
stabilize from that.
these days, if you do have the space, now I'm not saying you're 100% safe, but you know, you're feeling not super pressured. You're still going for sixes or fives?
Um so I will look at what's in the lobby. When there's pirates and Caligos, then I will do it. Because like when pirates are out, dragons are out, I go for fives. If not, then I go for sixes. That's what I can generally say. Or like your health doesn't allow it, and then you go for fives. But yeah, I think I'd rather go for sixes right now, because there's so many good ones when pirates and dragons are in.
Yeah, I think pirates being in really makes the reaching for a six worth it because
Mm-hmm.
if you do get the Eliza, you can potentially go scam, or at the very least, on the next turn after that, just pick up all the pirates you can and just dominate the next two battles, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Eliza is so good. Like I remember like a few months ago, I just didn't really think of her that good. And then it just started like that people started playing the scam comps. So you had like
Mm-hmm.
another way to make use of her instead of like APM pirates.
That's Eliza's issue. She's not actually good. Fundamentally, she's like a very mediocre six drop, but the scam comp exists. And the scam comp breaks all sorts of rules in Battlegrounds. So it makes her as the number one engine of the scam comp, or as part of the engine of the scam comp, the part of the engine that scales the best. It makes her seem like she's better than her fundamentals would indicate. So as soon as someone breaks the scamp comp, well, whether by removing one of the pieces from the meta or by nerfing it, Eliza's going to look like pretty bad for a tier 6 minion, I think.
What really? Like she's such good tempo. Like when you have like one pirate on the board, like the turn that you get Eliza, it just buffs like your whole board and you win for a few fights. Like even with the other scam comp, like she's pretty good. Oh,
Yeah, she can serve the role of it's funny, right? It's like she's associated with the boat, but she's like, she serves the role of the boat, which is
Hmm.
like, oh
Y-
God, I don't want to die. I want to get tempo. I want to
yeah.
win. Yeah.
Oh, elementals are so bad. Oh my god.
So bad.
I
Okay.
just thought of dying, little rag.
Son, I'm glad you're saying this, but our listeners who have watched my streams or have heard this, I have been saying this for like weeks, months. I'm just like,
Yeah.
change tier 6 elementals. They are so bad.
It's
Tier,
awful.
yeah. Like, okay, Nomi Elementals is literally the only elemental that you can really play, right? Like, Nomi Elemental is doable. I'm not saying it's amazing,
I
but it's doable.
I played Little Rag and Guy in the tournament on Kelters. It was I was like, oh shit, do I really have to do this? But then I got second with it somehow. But it was such a high roll. Like 2 Little Rags in the end.
And then
It was
Blizzard
like,
watched that, and Blizzard said, "Yep, Elementals balanced, tier 6 Elementals."
thanks for ruining it for us, son.
Yeah. Sun was able to take a bad hero and still get second place with it. It's too powerful. We should look into
Son,
it.
you ruined tier 6 elementals for everyone, and you were talking about that juggler game. I specifically remember you got second in the juggler game as well.
Yeah.
So you ruined any chances for us to get meaningful buffs to tier 6 elementals and to demon comp. How do you feel about that?
Um I don't want to take that responsibility. Is that possible?
No, it's not.
You
Here at the
wish.
Lightforge podcast, we just like we take credit and we dish out blame. That's all we do. Okay, that's all we do. But I think it is like first of all, thanks for the insight on the meta stuff, and I think we're still at a point where people are not like figuring it out, but I I think we're still at points where people are still playing a little bit suboptimally, in which because I go to different streams and I see that it's like okay, this person favors this a little bit more than that person, and everything, and there just doesn't seem to be that big of a consensus. Which is partly coming from what we were talking about before, in which there's so many options, right? It's like, do I keep the brand? Do I go with the pure blood gems? Do I go with the tier 5 thing that we don't know how to say?
The
Yeah.
thick boar. What? We know how to
It's
say
no,
it
no, no,
now.
this isn't the thick boar. This is the thing
Oh,
where
the
you
tier
put blood
4
gems in it.
thing. I see. I
No, it's
see.
tier 5. No,
What? The
no,
tier 5 one's
The
the
three-
thick boar.
no. It's
No.
also on tier 5. Oh my god, dude.
Wait.
It is like
The-
the Quibble. I think it's a 3/6 that whenever you give it a blood gem, it buffs each tribe for +1.
Oh, the menagerie one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. Every time you said this, I've been so lost in this conversation because this makes a lot more sense to me now. I thought you were just talking about the thick boar, and I was like, really? The thick boar is that useful in that case? Okay.
Well, the thick boar is good if you get things rolling, but no, this is not the thick boar we're talking about here. Okay, this is oh, I like what someone in chat just said. It's I'm gonna call it the Light Fang pig.
Love
Oh,
it.
like that name.
yeah.
Right? That's
Mhm.
great. The Light Fang pig. Thank you.
Yeah. I like
So-
it.
We can keep the pig thing going. But anyways, Sun, did you have anything else you want to talk about for the meta before we move on?
No.
No. Okay. I mean, it's fine. We can come back. This isn't like a closed door or anything. All right. It's we it's not closed off forever if you think about something else. But one of the things I did also want to talk about is kind of women in Hearthstone. This is a topic that we talked a little bit about on a previous podcast. It was a big topic due to one of the other invitational tournaments that Blizzard put on. It was a constructed tournament, and then only 2 women were invited out of the 20 participants. And it really sparked a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation within the community and also within Blizzard. Like, Blizzard really paid attention to that. And I wanted to just sort of get your perspective because you were very vocal, and you've always been a huge advocate for issues such as this. What were your thoughts during kind of that discussion, and how are you feeling about kind of the quote results of it?
So like it all started like last year already. Like the first Battlegrounds Invitational was there. And I think there were 16 players and one of them was a woman and it was Hafu. And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, like, why would you only invite Hafu? She wasn't playing Battlegrounds at the time, and then I was starting to think, huh, is there like a specific rule that you can only invite one woman? Because like at the time, I really think they should have invited Slissa, and Slissa wasn't invited initially. So I went onto this shitstorm on Twitter, and then Emas didn't get his invite anymore, and then they invited Slissa last second. Her stream blew up and I was like, yes, we need this, need this for women in games because like we are always underestimated, and when like a woman does well in a tournament, she gets like this validation from the casters and stuff, and then people think, oh, I can actually watch her and women are good at games. And yeah, I think it's really important that women are included in tournaments just to like for representation, and that women actually start playing the game too. I feel like they can compete. So yeah, it's like the main reason I was so vocal about it, because because I know, like I know all the women in Hearthstone, there was so many deserving players that are good enough to be invited. And yeah, what made me the maddest is that Blizzard said we're not inviting women because we're afraid that they lose and it would it would look bad.
So did it look bad this tournament? They invited 50% women.
It didn't. No.
I think
Yeah,
there's always a gap, right? And it keeps getting more and more towards equality when you start inviting women. Well, I mean, something that Slissa said that really stuck with me is you have to put women in these things, and the more you put women in these things, the more other women will look at it and say, "Hey, this is something I may
Yeah.
be able to do, or I may want to do, or I may feel somewhat welcomed in doing," given
Yeah.
the general, toxic culture of against women gamers kind of everywhere. And it just this is the first shot, right? This is the first
Yeah.
tournament with 50% women.
Yeah, what I also think is a great comparison when Patra was in Grandmasters, she got
Oh.
so much hate, and in the end, she quit Hearthstone over it, right? Because it was
Hmm.
just so much abuse. And when you put one woman with like 20,000 men, of course, like I'm going to talk about Twitch chat for a second. Of course, Twitch chat is going to pick that one woman to shit on her endlessly. Like, no matter how well she does, like, she will get a lot of shitty comments. But like this tournament, we had 50-50 women and nobody got hate, right? Because nobody stood out because it was something
Hmm.
normal to be there and be a woman. And it wasn't normal ever before.
Yes.
So the hate just got channeled onto one person before, and now it seemed to be like gone. So I thought that was great and very interesting to see.
yeah, I think this is one of the things that when like one of the criticisms, and Sun, you've seen all the criticisms because you've been such a big part of the conversations, which I don't know how you do it. It's exhausting. But one of the things that I'm sure you've seen a lot of, it's like, well, like, why are we forcing representation? Why don't we just admit that lots more guys watch this? We're just trying to be representative of the community. So yeah, if there's a lot more guys, there's a lot more guys. And I think part of the thing that people don't realize is, like, first of all, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mhm.
Second of all, we don't exactly know the demographics here.
Yeah, we don't have numbers.
Yeah,
That's the stupid argument.
we don't have numbers, and it's exactly like you said. It's just really, really tough for women to kind of even want to enter these things if they're one of the, like, if they're the only, or if they are one of two women in there, because the most extreme example was Patra, and I remember I was watching those matches, and I even saw you in chat, kind of rooting for her, defending her.
Mhm.
And she was just set up to fail. There was literally no way for her to succeed. Because if you
Yeah.
look at the comments, whenever she won, it was either luck or they would just channel that kind of hatred towards, it's like, making fun of the person who lost to her, right? So in a way, it's like they're putting her down and putting that other person down even more. And it was a situation that was very unfortunate because there was literally zero way she could quote win, even if she won. And it just seemed like no one was
I
really
don't know about
supporting her.
zero way. I think that's stretching the point. There
Okay,
was,
if she won all her matches,
yeah,
like 3-0
like if she
and
dominated, right?
dominated, yes,
Like, but if she was
and
just performing like vaguely
yeah,
normally, this was going
Yeah.
to be a negative.
yeah, yeah. Basically, she had to go in there and just put on an otherworldly,
Hmm.
statistically impossible performance. Because it's Hearthstone, right? Like, put on a statistically impossible performance. Then she would have been fine.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that Blizzard sees this event, and I think you're absolutely correct there, because I was watching the main stream as well, and because there were so many women here, um, it was just normal, right? Like people weren't
Yeah.
kind of making that into an issue, whereas I remember it's like watching the event with like Hafu and Slissa, and it was like whenever they were on, like you immediately noticed that difference in the chat, and then they were like, oh, these like it just makes such a different atmosphere, and I think this is the aspect that a lot of people just miss about these events.
Yeah, the argument that I also see a lot is, hey, why do you invite those women streamers that have less viewers than others? First of all, um, that is not true. There are like a lot of male streamers that had less viewers than other female streamers that weren't invited, just due to the fact that it would look bad if they were lost against men. That was the argument for Blizzard, and also that is also a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if you keep inviting these guys, then women become less and less normal, and
Hmm.
people just don't trust women to give them advice on the game. And now, like, I can give myself as an example. For example, I looked at the followers that I got on the tournament day. It was like 300, right? Pretty good. And before the tournament, I got like around 30 to 40 followers per day. And after the tournament, now I get like 100 plus. And it's just because people actually believe that I'm good at the game. That's
Hmm.
what I'm thinking. And you kind of need this external validation for women, that the main and the tournament players say, hey, she's good, she won, you can actually trust her to give you advice on the game. And it's it's important to give women these chances, because like we are not trusted, sadly, with like game knowledge.
Yeah, this is the
It's
important
yeah.
part. It's the opportunity because you don't get to show this
Yeah.
if you were not like, let's say they only invite two women to this, right? And then you didn't make the cutoff. Well,
Hmm.
like we're talking, and for those who don't know, show got the number one number of points, but Sunglitters here was number two, tied with a few other people, and the highest point getter among women. But it's not like I don't think you got any real credit for it because it wasn't viewed as a weird thing. Like no one was like, "Oh my god, a woman was number 2 in the point getters in this tournament." It was like, yeah, well, I mean, we have half women and women are good at this game. We selected good women for this game and we're able to this is just
Yeah.
kind of a normal thing. So,
Yeah.
like it was great that you got all the support, but what I liked was that nobody like there's this implicit assumption. I think people are on board with the idea that women could be good. They just, for some reason, and I don't know exactly why, but there's this pressure against giving women the opportunity because they
Hmm.
might fail. When
Yeah.
they give men the opportunity, and men might fail too, and it's seen like more acceptable and okay to be given the opportunity. Whereas when we start pushing this on women, it's looked at as, oh, now we're like giving handouts to people who don't deserve it. Well, you don't know if they deserve it or not until you give them the
Yeah.
opportunity, and then you figure it out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, this is something I brought up like a few weeks ago when Alex and I we had this discussion just between us, And a lot of the criticisms, and like I think a lot of people who talk about this issue don't even see it as a criticism. They're just like, oh, we're just quote spouting facts. And a lot of the stuff that they say is just sort of like, look, it's about merit. If women are good enough, they'll get in there, right? Like they will make it somehow. We're just trying to be representative of the community. This is all like very similar talking points we've seen previously in like other you can look at it in sports. So like when baseball was segregated, there was actually a decent period of time in which black players were allowed to be in the league, but it took a while for Jackie Robinson to come in, and then it took a while longer for black players to actually enter the league and thrive in the league and sort of show what they got. And you look at the league right now, it's very, very different. And during that period where black players were allowed to enter the league, but there weren't really any coming in, and there weren't really any like sort of rushing in to just be like, yeah, I want to be in the Major League Baseball. Same talking points. It's like, look, if they're good enough to get in, they'll get in. If we're just kind of going with what is represented here, and black players don't want to play baseball. They just don't. So like, we're not going to cater to them. Like if they're good enough and if they want to get in, they'll get in. So you look at a lot of these talking points, and look, I'm not going to like, I can already imagine people are like, whoa, this is a very different blah, blah, like different eras, different. Look, you can't just go with these things that you perceive as sort of like, oh, just spouting facts. And I think that is one of the things that really is stopping progress here, where people are just like, okay, like, it is this way, and we're just trying to represent it as this way. Well, maybe this way is not exactly optimal, and maybe not exactly the way it should be. So why are we trying so hard to get to just say, okay, this percentage right here, let's try to replicate that exactly.
I mean, there's always a path that you like. Nowhere is it, oh, you start out one day here, and then the next day, oh, you're all the way over there at equality. That doesn't happen. There's a middle area where it looks different. Things get moved differently, and we're in that middle area now when it comes to esports in general with women. And so there's going to be a lot of resistance to it, and there's going to be a lot of people pushing for it. And this is not like this is what change looks like what's happening right here. What happened with the previous Blizzard tournament where 2 women were invited, and what happens with this one where it was half women, right? Like we're in the middle of this changing period. So if you let, like Merp was saying, if you let the existing percentages guide what you want, what you depict as the representation, then you're never going to, or it's going to be very, very slow to get to where you want to be. And as a video game company, there's a huge market of women that are being underserved, especially with this is not like a boys kind of game kind of thing, right? It's like a cartoonish children's card game. It's pretty gender neutral as far as that goes.
We have literal clowns in this game.
So many women would love it. Oh my god. I can't see why women wouldn't like this game. And when we push more representation for women, and that we show, hey, in this tournament 2 women were in the winning team, wow, and they did so well, like then I feel like more and more will come. And also I got so many messages that were like, hey, I saw you in the tournament, I really am inspired to start streaming now too, and that I can do it. And it just feels so good. I just hope that more women feel comfortable in the space and stop leaving the scene. No, maybe.
it creates a chain event, because this is something I saw that you guys were doing on Twitter as well. You were talking about sort of people who have inspired you, and for Slissa, she shared her story of we know Slissa now as the winner of not only this tournament but other tournaments. She's dominated BG events, but she wouldn't have dominated any events because she wouldn't have been there, because she wouldn't have streamed. Perhaps if she didn't see Allie do it, right? And then she saw Allie, she liked sort of Like, her Allie's like entertainment factor and also Allie's skill and everything. So because she saw Allie and she saw some of herself in Allie, she streamed, and then that led to her dominating these tournaments. So that's important. It's like seeing representation, seeing a bit of you in someone else can fuel this. And Sun, you might have that Allie effect where the
Oh, I had
next.
it with Hafu.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Merps was talking about you inspiring all the would-be
Yeah.
future girl and women streamers out there.
Oh yeah, maybe.
All the future meme lords,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But so I wanted to talk about that, and once again, the frustrating thing about this is I think some people out there's always a group of people who are just like, well, you're sort of preaching to the choir. There's a group out there who are just never going to be convinced, and
Mm-hmm.
but we are hoping to reach the people who I think whenever they talk about some of the talking points that we have all brought up today, those are the ones that I think are capable of being convinced and capable of change, because a lot of the cool arguments just seem reasonable on their face,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, yeah, like they seem reasonable. It's like, we just want what is represented. We just want what is represented, and oh, it's about merit, right? Like all these things all seem to be like, seem to make sense. But I'm hoping that through a conversation like this, like you see that these statements, which seem to be about merit and be fair on its face, are really not, and they're actually hindering actual progress.
Yeah.
So I think most people are there, honestly. I think if you look at the gamer community, not just people who are vocal, not just people who are like content creators, I think most people are the people that you describe, whether they realize it or not. And it's because there's all this negative pressure, and that's why. I mean, there's all this negative pressure, and yet when women go out and do like high performances, it's not a huge celebration with the majority of gamers who are interested in the event. It's like, oh yeah, of course we knew that could happen. Like, because it's those kinds of arguments where it could happen, it does happen, but they're not pushing for the representation, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, Sun, is there anything more you want to talk about for this issue, or yeah, just anything you want to talk about for this issue?
Oh, there's probably a lot that I'm forgetting. There's so much to talk about with this. It's insane. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a fight on Twitter. Like, so many people are so dumb, and like you said, you can't convince them. You can bring them studies, you can argue, you can show them examples, and they will just not get it because they're just stuck in their sexist ways. It's very frustrating.
One
Yeah.
one thing I love about you on Twitter, son, is no holds barred, just 100%
No.
out there. I think I mean, especially with what's been happening in the past couple months in the Hearthstone female community, a lot of people have been very vocal about this, but you have always been like aggressively vocal about this issue from the time that you were an influencer at all, and I really love reading all of your tweets, and they're highly educational, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I always like when played Arena, I felt the same way, but at the time I didn't really have a following. And now that more people read my tweets, like a lot of like Blizzard employees follow me too, I feel like I can actually change things, and it feels good that we achieved it like with everyone together. Like all the women came together, shared their experiences. And yeah, big shout out to everyone that did, because like without these experiences, I feel like a lot of men wouldn't have understood our position. I feel like we just really needed to hammer that into their brains. And I feel like we have changed like a lot of thinking, or sparked discussion and sparked some change in people's minds. And it feels really good. And I hope it doesn't stop now.
Yeah. I think a lot more conversations are necessary. It's like what ADWCTA was talking about. Change doesn't happen overnight, right? But with stuff that has happened really throughout the past year and a half, between like the hashtag Me Too movement, between like the Black Lives Matter protests, to
Mhm.
smaller kind of segments of society, like Hearthstone, kind of having good conversations about women in gaming, and I I think this is just a way that we're going to progress, and
Yeah.
it's going to be frustrating at times. I know, son, it's been frustrating a
Mhm.
decent amount, and I can't imagine how you deal with all of that stuff. That's just like so tiring. But I do think we are seeing progress, and kind of the first data point is this tournament that we had, right? In
Yeah.
which I think it was run super well, and it was also just very encouraging because it's like when people were talking about, it's like, oh man, this person is doing really well, or like people weren't, it wasn't being singled out because of the fact that it's like it was a man or woman. And I'm hoping
Mhm.
we see more events like this from Blizzard, and I'm hoping that Blizzard internally has had conversations and is more willing to help out the situation, because as we talked about before, it's like the Patra situation, that was their tournament, right? And it was
Yeah.
unfortunate because they kind of didn't do anything to really help out that situation.
No.
All right. So, son, you ready to talk about Arena?
Yeah.
One more hour of talk, this time about Arena. Let's go.
Okay.
Arena poggers.
Okay, we're gonna keep this short. We're gonna keep this short.
Okay, so if you
But
guys don't know, so Sun's been on this podcast like twice before talking about Arena. This is actually, I think, the first time we've had her here talking about Battlegrounds, because we haven't had
Wait,
her on here
really?
in like a week. When's the last time you were here? It was like more than a year and a half ago, right? I don't think there was Battlegrounds.
Oh, I think the last one I was here for Battlegrounds, but I'm not
Oh,
sure. It might have been Arena
no, no,
too.
okay. Was it
I
Battlegrounds?
no, I think she was here for Battlegrounds
Okay, she
at
was here for
some
Battleground. My
point.
bad. So she's already been here once for Battlegrounds, once for Arena. But she used to be one of the top Arena players. Would play Arena all the time. Would host tournaments. Would like make memes about Arena. Like very much a part of the Arena community, and was also one of the first. In the very first wave of people who switched from Arena to Battlegrounds once the system was.
Instantly.
Hmm?
I swapped instantly. I saw new game mode. I'm like, bye.
This is fresh off of you hosting a tournament. You're just like, I love
Yeah.
Arena. I love the community. See ya. Just
No, the
oh,
tournament was my last effort for the Arena community. I
it
was like,
was.
okay, if this doesn't work, if Blizzard doesn't put more effort into the mode, I'm gone as soon as possible. Bye.
Oh, okay. So I searched it up. You were last on October 5th, 2020. So
Oh,
it
okay.
hasn't
Yep.
been that long. Yeah, it hasn't been that long. It's only been seven
Yeah,
months. Yeah.
yeah.
But
We definitely played Battlegrounds then.
Yeah, that's
oh
definitely
yeah.
Battlegrounds.
Yeah, we were talking about elementals and how stupid
Oh.
elementals were at that point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I slightly remember this.
It's slightly, you should look, it's a very eventful to be on the Lightforge podcast, okay? Tell me you remember everything because it was so important
I
to
mean,
you.
the first time
It's
has to
Yes.
be eventful because the first time is what guarantees you future tournament wins, as we've established.
That's true. That's very true. Other times we're just it's just icing on the cake. But anyways, son, you played a lot of Arena, and we talked a little bit earlier this week in your chat. You were streaming, I was in your chat, and we were
Mhm.
having a good laugh at your Rastakhan's Rumble edit into your own trailer kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
think it sparked up some memories. And I remember you said, well, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, but you correct me if I'm wrong. You were kind of
Okay.
saying how Blizzard had a really good thing going on, and you were kind of sad that you were almost kind of forced to move on.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
what does it take to bring you back?
So, I need numbers. I need external validation that tells me I'm good and that I can show people, hey, I'm good. Because like people, I don't know, even now say, "Who you're so bad at battlegrounds," but I'm on the leaderboards, right? So I need an MMR system in Arena, like a live leaderboard. The 2 month leaderboard, I don't give a shit. Like nobody cares about like what was 2 months ago. No, like nobody looks at it except the Omega nerds.
To
And
the
yeah, you need
Omega nerds who are watching and or listening to our podcast, we do
yeah,
know that the
exactly.
2 month arena leaderboards were just published. But because this is Sunglitters episode, we will do as she wants and not really go into it at all. But next episode, next week, we'll give all the shout outs.
Next week, we congratulate the Omega nerds. Okay.
Yeah. I really feel like you need the leaderboard in the client, like at least to see like the MMI somehow. Like or something similar.
I think the most important thing for me, and I know it matters a lot for you as well, and for I think a lot of players who play BGs, is right now the highest level of competition is in BGs,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's about the quality of players that you are attracting, right? And look, look, this isn't taking away from the people who still play Arena, because there's a lot of really talented Arena players, especially at the very top. But like, let's just face the facts: a lot more people play BGs, and a lot of the talent, just Hearthstone talent generally, right? Whether it's from the Arena or from Constructed, went into BGs. And I think for someone like you, who's very competitive, who likes playing against other people at the highest levels, so you can shit
Mm-hmm.
talk them, you want to do that. You want to play against the people at the highest level. So I think
Yeah.
we're gonna have to find some way to, if we want Arena to be good, to attract and bring back a critical mass of kind of this talent, right? And the level of competition, and then if Sun sees that there's like a level of competition there, that's what will attract you back.
Imagine they do an arena invitational. Right? Then people will start practicing again. Then I'm gonna come back. Yeah, they just need some like tournament, a little bit support, MMR. And then I feel like Arena could even be better than Battlegrounds.
Very optimistic, son. That
Yeah.
I literally cannot imagine what that would look like. That's how far out of reach that goal is for the arena community. And this is coming from me. I'm still playing arena with the vast majority of my Hearthstone time. Like I'm not streaming Battlegrounds these days. I'm just playing arena. It's a pretty good meta right now. But there's
Hmm.
no competitive support. I don't think there are plans for competitive support in at least a year.
Nah.
Like not before they change the whole system at least.
Yeah, and I think that for people like you, son, who don't play things just for the hell of it, right? Like you want to dominate, you want that leaderboard experience, um,
Yeah.
and that is BG's right now, and like it's going to be really tough. Like I just don't see a way for. So I brought this up and I'm like, how is it going to be possible? And then I'm just going to say it's not really possible, which brings me to kind of like my second question. If they went the other route with Arena and introduced kind of just like wacky events, fun kind of stuff, I don't know, more cosmetics, and went in a direction that, for Arena, like this iteration of Arena, I'm not talking about sort of like Arena 3.0 or something, in which it could be a completely different
Hmm.
limited format. Um, would that interest you? Would that bring you back as just sort of like a casual mode that you can play every once in a while?
You mean like the Halloween stuff?
Yeah, kind of like that.
No.
Just no.
Sounds
Okay.
like how do
No.
I dominate people with that and get recognition?
Yeah, exactly.
I think
No.
that's fair.
No.
So I think at the end of the day, and like one of the reasons I wanted to ask you that is because I believe that's how a lot of the people who are content creators or at the top of the BG leaderboards and are spamming BGs feel. It's just like there's this critical mass, more than critical mass. There's like basically the almost all of the Hearthstone collective talent has moved to BGs. That's where they like to
Yeah.
be. I know you enjoy that. This is the reason why and I've said this many times on the podcast as well. I like Arena, and I will find quote excuses to go back and play Arena every once in a while. Because
Mhm.
I think both of us have played it a lot. We appreciate the intricacies and everything. But
Yeah.
what do I really like to do? I like to face up against Sunglitters. I like to trash talk with her back and forth, about this stuff. I like to disagree on plays, and I like to queue into a lobby, and it's like their son. There's Victor, Dog, Slissa, et cetera, et cetera. It's these people that I'm familiar with. It's these people that I know are really, really good at the game, and that is also very different from Arena, in which a lot of times you are trashing on noobs, right? Like you're just trashing on noobs, which could be fun in its own way. But I've also really enjoyed facing the best players in BGs, and whether I come out on top or not, like that's a fun experience for me.
So Merps and
Mhm.
Sunglitters. MMR Arena? MMR in Arena solves the problem.
Yeah, I wanted.
For me, it's like a little bit mixed, and we talked about this before. But yeah, so Sun, you would be in favor of MMR in Arena.
Yes.
And then we come to the problem of like the reward system, right?
Sun
Nobody
doesn't need rewards, just
got
recognition.
No,
rewards.
I think I don't think she needs rewards.
No, like who cared about their card packs? Like when I was an arena player, I had 1,000 unopened packs. I don't need packs, right? Like you just need to play arena again.
Just
Like,
play
go for
again.
it. Yeah.
That is your attitude. Just play again. That's true.
Yeah, I know they don't want like infinite arena players, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I read something about that on Twitter. But I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Like
Well, you
why
can
not
be
like
infinite
buy
in
a pass?
Battlegrounds.
Why not buy a pass like in Battlegrounds for it? Why is that not enough? And just get no rewards, only MMR.
Yeah, that's true. I think at the end of the day, they just got to do something, and
Mhm.
I'm very curious to see what they do with it, because they know that it is an issue. Like the current state of Arena, it's just stagnant, right? It's stale, and it's
Yeah.
been stale for many years now.
Yes.
So whatever it is, I'm looking forward to it. Like even if it bombs, it's sort of like there's no risk in taking a risk because it's like what,
True, because it's bombed
yeah.
already. Yeah.
I don't know about well, but
It's
but
fine. The meta's
it's
actually pretty
well,
good right
no, it's
now.
fine, right? It's fine. It's like, but we're in an industry, and I think we're in an age as well. It's like if you're not moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, you're getting left behind.
Yep.
Like if you're standing still, you're getting left behind. And especially with games, right? Like, can you imagine a game/game mode not getting any significant improvements in 7 years? Can you imagine that? I can't imagine
It just
that.
got worse from 1 month leaderboard to 2 month. Worse and worse.
Yeah, it's interesting. But anyways, son, wanted to just poke around a little bit, talk about Arena, to see if there was any way we can entice you back. Your answers were, I think, expected. But no, I mean, look, Battlegrounds is like Blizzard didn't lose someone like you, right? It's not like you went and became a Valorant or Fortnite pro, which I have seen your play, and they are very interesting. I enjoy those streams. Very interesting.
Interesting.
Very interesting. You with the spike. Oh, those are great plays right there. Uh,
Yeah.
but like we can look at it as a bad thing, but props to Blizzard for keeping a ton of players, right? Because
Yeah. Dude,
they
Battlegrounds was genius.
so genius. Like, because look at all the people who played Arena/Constructed, and they could have lost you, Dog, Shady, Collins, Show, like all of these people who played Hearthstone for years and years and years, like since the very beginning, right? Like whether it's constructed or arena, and they could have lost you guys to like TFT or
Oh
to
yeah.
some other game, but they kept you guys with BG. So, we can talk about the death of arena, or we can talk about kind of like, damn, they created something really nice here.
Mm-hmm. I was
All right.
already playing TFT at the time, and I came back for Battlegrounds as soon as it came out.
I couldn't understand TFT. It was so confusing. I couldn't do it. Like, there's too many things going on, so many changes. Maybe that's
Yeah.
just me being a boomer, but I didn't understand it. I don't know. You're more of the Zoomer type. You can tell me how that statement holds up.
It's probably because you didn't play League of Legends. I knew the champions, and then it's a bit
Oh,
easier at the
mm,
start.
right. The game you got banned from. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Having said that, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. But Basan, and this isn't limited to anything at all. Was there anything more you wanted to talk about? Any topics or anything we forgot about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
I want to give a shout out to our patrons for supporting this podcast, for supporting everything we do. And on behalf of them, I'd like to ask, Son, what is next for you personally in battleground streaming, life, whatever?
Oh, I hope to participate in a lot of tournaments. So, like, Nicolina is actually doing a tournament soon, and she told me about it. And I think it's a great idea that you pair Battlegrounds and Standard together, and you do it in a way like in a two-player tournament, right? So you have one Battlegrounds player and one Standard player, and you team up together, and then do the tournament. Like one plays BG and the other one Standard, and you can play together. Well, I thought that was great, and I'm kind of looking forward to it.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, props to all the content creators out there. Nicolina and just other people who are consistently hosting these tournaments. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say keeping the community alive because the community is well alive, but giving the community more to chew on, just more content to consume. That's super cool, and it's one of the things where if we want the community to grow, we definitely want more grassroots type of things, like the thing that Nicolina is holding.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Sun, thank you for being on here today. If people want to watch, just the best in the world, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Sunglitters.
And where else?
And Twitter.com/Sunglitters without the U and the I.
Oh, and what about YouTube?
Sungly.
Sungli.
Without the pairs.
So
We
why
gotta
are they all
standardize
different?
all this stuff. We gotta standardize everything.
I can't. It's taken.
There are just too many sun glitters in the world?
Yeah, there's one more.
And Son, what about your Insta?
That is the same as my Twitter.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
that
my TikTok same as Twitter too, but I'm not. Yeah, I
okay.
have
Well,
90 followers on TikTok.
wow.
Yeah.
Guys, get in on the ground level, okay? Get in on the ground level.
You
of
assume
Sun's
anybody who listens to
TikTok.
our podcast knows what TikTok is and has an
That's
account.
true. I have seen the age group of our listeners, and it is frightening. Okay, it's
What is it?
oh God, it's what like 35 plus, is it?
We
Wow.
we have a good amount of people. Oh no, they used to be younger. Yeah, they're
Yeah, they
probably
used
late
to be.
20s now.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I think it averages out to like 35 plus. So
It's not that
no.
bad, but yeah, it's probably early 30s is probably or late 20s is probably our main demo.
Yikes, dude. But Son, congrats once again on the win. Incredibly well
Thank you.
played. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing your knowledge
Thanks for
on.
inviting me.
Yeah, we're gonna have you on again. At
Always
some
fun,
point.
son.
Yes, we'll have you once again. I don't know when
When I win
I'm
the
try-
next tournament
Yeah.
next
Oh,
month.
there you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
So like, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah,
Not
because
with
the
the
tournament is
tournament,
happening
let's
in a
go.
couple weeks. Keck W. All right. That's it. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time.
Until next time, this is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. Bye.
Bye.